Welcome to Real Pro and Real Estate's webinar. Today we'll be joined by Galand Haas, where he's going to share his knowledge on generating and converting internet leads. So some of you may know Galand, but for those of you who don't, let me just give you a quick history. He has been in the real estate industry for 26 years in Eugene and Springfield area. He is the operating principal of Keller Realty, the co-founder of Real Pro Systems, which he created with another top-selling agent in Portland, Rob Levy. Rob and Galand pioneered the first lead generating system for agents, and he has become an expert in internet marketing systems. And he's on track to close 150 plus transactions this year. So let me pass the baton to Galand. Galand, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Celeste. So today we're going to be covering quite a few different things, but I call this Real Estate on the Internet 101. And so we're going to be covering generating leads and converting leads. And for many of you, this is going to be a little bit repetitive on some things that you already know, but I kind of start out at ground zero because I want to give you kind of the foundation for how all of this works. So bear with me a little bit because some of you are going to know this stuff really, really well. Some of you aren't. So we're going to start out with some basics. So again, we're going to start out with generating leads and we're going to go right into converting leads because the two of them work hand in hand together. So anyway, I always like to start out with my illustration of the funnel. And the reason I like to use the funnel is because it really illustrates to me how this whole thing works. And with internet lead generation, you need to have a multitude of different areas that you're generating these leads from. And we're going to go through quite a few of those today. But the more of them that you have that are generating leads, they actually do what I've illustrated here, and that's feed the funnel. Now, the whole process works as you feed the funnel, and as these leads start dropping through the funnel, the actions that we take have a direct effect on how many of them pass out the other end as a closed sale. So statistically, we know that somewhere between 1 to 3% of all the leads that we put into this funnel are going to turn into real business if we do the right things over the first 6 months. And so it's 1 to 3%. So if I drop 100 leads into my funnel this month, I can plan on 1 to 3 transactions as a result of that over the next 6 months. Now what happens if I start dropping 200, 300, 400, 500 and beyond into that funnel? And that percentage holds true. I'm going to start doing quite a bit of business from these leads I'm putting into the internet. And that's part of the equation here is finding ways to drop a lot of leads into that funnel so that more and more of them drop out the other end as closed sales. Now here's the other part of it that's important, and we're going to get into this today as well. What I'm talking about is 1 to 3% conversion rate over the first 6 months. After 6 months, that conversion rate picks up significantly, and here's the reason why. Not all of those prospects that you're putting, or leads that you're putting into that funnel, are ready to do business today or even through the next 6 months. And especially with listings, a lot of them are coming in and they're looking for information. They're not ready to put their home on the market now, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to be ready to put a home on the market 8 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever. In fact, I just listed a house last week with a couple that had been in my database for over 7 years, and the time was right for them to put their house on the market. And of course, I had been the person that kept myself in front of them all those years, and they called me to list their property. So the great thing about Real Pro Systems and the things I'm going to go over today with your database and so on is that you have the ability to keep in touch with these prospects long term, and this conversion rate that we're talking about can really pick up considerably over time if you do the right things, and we're going to be going through a lot of that. So I want to start out with the importance of having an organized database. And with Real Pro Systems, of course, that's the essential part of your system is having an organized database. And the organized database allows you to have these leads drop in as they come in through your sites. They drop into your system, and they become organized. You have a first name and email address, hopefully a phone number, and they're also categorized into groups. And by having the ability to assign these leads into a group, buyers, sellers, however you want to break that down, it allows you to market to these prospects in ways that are effective for whatever they've come in for, whether they're a buyer or a seller, or they're looking for a short sale, or whatever that might be. It allows you to identify them and market to them accordingly. So having an organized database and then having the ability to put those leads into groups in the database are essential. Okay, the other part that's essential too is having drip email campaigns, because one of the things that takes place as soon as the lead comes in to your system, you need to be able to make contact with that lead. And there's a variety of different things that you can do to make contact with that lead, and I'm going to be going through those today as well. But the great thing about drip emails is they're automated. And if you're starting to generate a lot of leads, you don't have time to type out an email and send to every one of them. But if you have a drip email campaign, it'll automatically send a message out to that lead as they drop into your database and identify you as the agent that they got the information from, and start that relationship building process between you and that prospect. So drip email campaigns are essential as well. Email blast is also essential, because drip campaigns typically only go out about 6 months. Now, some of my campaigns go out a week. Some of them go out a month. Some of them, but the majority of them go out anywhere between 5 to 6 months. So what we're doing with drip campaigns is we're trying to make contact with the prospect immediately and draw out those prospects that are ready to take action either now or within the near future. And that's why they only go out a short period of time. They're automated because you got a lot of leads coming in. You don't have time to send messages out, and so no matter what you do, these messages are going out and they're branding you to the prospects. But email blast gives you the ability to keep yourself in front of these prospects or these leads that come in long term. So as they drop off of the drip campaigns, you can still be contacting them by email blast. You can keep in touch with them long term, and I'm going to be going into that in more depth here shortly. So lead collection pages are where the rubber meets the road, though. These are the pages that actually provide the consumer with the information that they need and want. A great lead collection page has a low barrier of entry. In other words, the prospect comes to the site, comes to the page to get the information they want, whether they're a buyer or seller, and all they've got to do is give you a first name and email address and hopefully a phone number, and which is the way that gives you the ability to keep in touch with the prospect, so that they don't have to give you much information to be able to get all that information that they want. And so lead collection pages, of course, are an integral part of RealPro systems, and all of you have great lead collection pages. So this is how it all works. You market to the prospect. They come to the lead collection page to get the information they want. They enter in their information. They enter in their first name and their email address, because those are mandatory fields that they have to enter in to be able to get the information. As soon as they hit submit, that information drops into your database. Depending on which site they come from, they are set up in a group, and they drop into your database, and you'll have campaigns set up for those specific groups with drip email that starts sending emails out to that prospect that are specific to their needs. Also, you have email blast that you can send. Allows you to send messages to the prospects. You can send to individual prospects, you can send to individual groups, or you can send to your entire database. So that's kind of how that whole system works in a nutshell. Now the important thing is, how do we start driving leads to it to start fill that funnel so that process starts working. So one of the integral parts of this is IDX, Internet Data Exchange, and all of you probably have an Internet Data Exchange that is attached to your RealPro Systems site. And so what Internet Data Exchange does, allows you to have all the information for properties from your MLS that are available for both buyers and sellers on your site. This is what prospects are looking for, whether they're buyer or seller. Buyers are out there looking for what? Properties for sale that meet their search criteria, that meet their needs. Sellers are out there looking for information on properties similar to theirs that have sold or on the market, because they're trying to establish an idea of what their property's value might be. So if you have that information available through IDX, you now can attach that to your lead collection sites, and this is the information that the prospects are looking for, and it allows you to go out and market specifically for those sites for those prospects to be able to get that information. So IDX is really an integral part of how this whole thing works, and it's of course integrated right into your system. IDX, this is just a quick shot of how an IDX search might look with mapping and photos of the house, information on the property, the price, bedrooms, baths, all the information that a consumer might want. Okay, stealth sites. Stealth sites are, when we first started RealPro Systems back about 13 years ago, stealth sites were the concept that drove the whole thing. And with RealPro Systems, we were pioneers in the fact that nobody had sites back then. Nobody had those lead collection sites attached to a database, and they didn't have drip campaigns attached, and email blasts, and so on. So stealth sites, though, came about from the fact that we first developed the lead collection sites, but we quickly determined that we got a much better response rate on sites that we didn't identify ourselves at. In other words, the site was all about the consumer and not about us, the agent. So we took off all of our branding on those sites, and we made the site all about the consumer and the information that they were looking for, and we found that we got about a 30% better response rate from those sites by not having our branding on them. So stealth sites, which you get with RealPro Systems, offer the consumers the information that they want, has a low threshold of entry, of course, and it flies under the consumer's radar because they come to the site and they're not threatened by what they feel twist their arm into doing business or start bothering them. So unbranded is non-threatening, and that's the reason that we get about a 30% better response rate from a non-branded site. So stealth sites, again, I think are an integral part of your system. Okay, so let's start talking about, and I told you I'm going to move fast through this. So I wanted to go in first to how do we drive traffic to buyer sites. So you have sites out there that offer buyers the ability to get information on properties that they're looking for. So they can sign up at your site and they can search any part of your market. They can search price ranges, bedrooms, baths, however they might want to break that down. And typically they can even sign up to get updates as new homes hit the market. So you have a very attractive offering, but you have to let people know about it. So there's a multitude of different things that you can do to market your site. Some of them really simple, and some of them are low cost, and some of them are a little bit more expensive but very effective. And so I want to go through some ideas just to kind of give you ideas of some different things that you can do, because again, as I mentioned in the beginning, you need to be doing a multitude of different things to drive traffic. You don't want to rely on just on any one thing to drive traffic to your site. So I'm going to start out with some newspaper advertising, and I know a lot of you probably don't do newspaper advertising anymore, and I quit doing it. I don't market properties in newspaper any longer. It just doesn't work for me. But I do run ads in the newspaper, and they do work. And here's an example on your left-hand side of an ad that I run every Sunday in the classified section of my local newspaper. And I'll usually run about a dozen of these ads. I can run a dozen of these little ads for the same price as it costs me to run a classified ad with a photo in it or an open house ad in that same newspaper. So here's what the ad says. Email home search, instant detailed information on all homes listed for sale in the Eugene and Springfield area, meeting your search criteria with daily email updates as new homes hit the market. Log on to www.forhomeinfo.com. And then I have a tag in there, know about new homes hitting the market before the agents do, because what happens when they sign up? They go into IDX and automatically does a search for them, and they get information on those properties immediately. So if they're getting updates as new homes hit the market, my system updates them daily as those new homes hit the market. So this is something that's very attractive to somebody that's actively out there looking for property. So again, we'll run these ads on a Sunday, and I'll get, on a low Sunday, I might get 15 or 20 responses. On a good Sunday, I might get 50 or 75 responses from running this a dozen times. So it's a good return on my investment. Also, we run classified ads, and we run these in the paper as well. We'll scatter these ads through different parts of the newspaper, though. We might put them in the front page section. We might put them in the sports section, and so on. But it's the same thing, free detailed information on all homes listed for sale in the Eugene and Springfield area. And you can see what the ad says, but it's basically the same type of ad, just a little bit more of a display ad that we're running. And we make the ad larger because we're trying to catch the attention in the other parts of the newspaper. Okay, other things that we do, and I'm always trying to find areas that I can tag on to existing marketing that I'm already doing, because that's the lowest cost marketing that I do. And I don't know how many of you use information boxes in front of your listings. In fact, I quit using information boxes for years and started doing it again when I got the idea to start putting this information on the back of the flyers. So what I do with all of my listings, I put information box in front of the house. I have information on the property, and of course they've got to go to my website to get all the detailed information. I just have photos and bedrooms and baths and so on, but I don't put the price in them. But on the back of that flyer I have two ads. Want to know your home's approximate market value? Log on to forhomesellers.com. That's my site where sellers can go and they can get an online market analysis on their property. Because there's two different kinds, remember there's two different kinds of people that might be, or prospects that might be pulling those flyers out of that property. One of them might be somebody in the neighborhood that's thinking about selling their house, and they're trying to figure out what this house is on the market at, because they're trying to determine what their home is worth prior to putting their home on the market. So what better way for them to really determine that than to get a market analysis on their property? And the great thing is, if they're just in the planning stage, they don't want to talk to a real estate agent yet, and they get this online without having to make contact with an agent. So want to know your home's current market value? Having that on the back of that flyer is really important. But the other part of it is, of course, there's buyers that are driving these neighborhoods, looking at these houses, and so we also have automated email information on any homes listed for sale in the Eugene and Springfield area. And again, it's the same type of ad. Know about new homes hitting the market before the agents do. Log on to forhomeinfo.com. Okay, so they pull the flyer out of that property, and they go to forhomeinfo.com, and they can sign up and start getting a search for that entire neighborhood of any homes that meet their search criteria. So from having these flyers in those information boxes in front of those houses, it usually accounts for somewhere between 75 to 100 buyer-seller requests every single month for something that really isn't costing me any money to get those responses, because I'm tying on to some marketing that I was already doing. So it's just something to think about, that if you're not using info boxes, you might go back to using them again and start running these same type of ads. Okay, magazine ads. Also on, I used to market heavily years ago back in the Homes and Land, Home Seekers magazines, and those, and of course it was all properties I was listing, had big pages with my picture all over, my team's picture and so on. I don't do any of that anymore, but I do run these ads. Free instant automated email information on any homes listed for sale in the Eugene and Springfield area. Automatic updates you as new homes hit the market. Know about new homes hitting the market before the agents do. Again, you know, this is the type of ad that really works in those magazines, because guess what? As you know, especially in the kind of market that most of us are in right now, a lot of those homes are sold by the time those magazines hit the stand. And either that or they've got price changes, and a lot of things aren't correct by the time they hit the stand. So what the buyers get frustrated with is that it's old information. They call on the property and it's sold. They call on the property, it's pending. They call on the property, the price is sold or has changed, whatever it might be. So if they want to get current information, what better way do they have than to go to forhomeinfo.com? So running this ad, I run a half-page ad, exactly the one that's on your screen, in both Home Seekers magazine and Homes and Land. Those are the two predominant publications in my market area every single month. And again, we get several hundred buyer requests every single month just out of running these ads. So they do work. Postcards. You know, most agents have quit doing postcards because it's expensive. And you know, one of the things that I always look at is, you know, when everybody else quits doing it, that's the time to step in and start doing it. So we started doing postcards a couple of years ago, and we started target marketing different areas with our postcards. And you know, areas that you can target market, especially for buyers, would be neighborhoods where there's a high percentage of renters, apartment complexes. There's a lot of different areas that you can market to for buyers with postcards that are very effective. You just have to do a little bit of research as to where they are. But postcards like this one work very, very well, and it is for forhomeinfo.com. A daily email list of new homes for sale as they hit the market. And again, it's nothing about me. It's all about the consumer and them getting information on properties for sale. We also have postcards that send out, you know, that we might send out to apartment complexes and so on, with information that's geared to, or a postcard that's geared towards first-time buyers, again with the ability to get information at forhomeinfo.com. So there's a variety of different postcards that you can send out, and they do work. The biggest thing with them is you just got to be consistent. And when we hit different neighborhoods that have, for instance, that have a large number of renters in them, if we just send that postcard out one time, we might get a few requests, but we'll probably hit them a dozen times to hit that same neighborhood. So because the repetitiveness is what usually brings about results. So postcards do work. Craigslist ads. Craigslist ads don't work as well as they used to because we can't use hot links anymore. But here's what we did discover is that we still use Craigslist, and we put in our URL for the site now, and we just put in there the fact that please cut and paste this into your browser. But ads like this really work, so we take specific properties and we'll try to pick a hot price range in a hot area, and we'll run the ads on those properties. And the key to Craigslist is, again, running repetitive ads, because you put a Craigslist ad in, and when you put it in the morning, it gets looked at pretty heavily, but as more ads come in behind you and you go down the rungs of the ladder, you're not viewed as much. So we repeat our posts about 6 times a day. So we're posting Craigslist ads about 6 times a day with different properties, and we'll repost and so on. So Craigslist ads still work. They just don't work as well as they used to. But the great thing about Craigslist, it doesn't cost me anything except for a little bit of time to put the ad in. Pay-per-click marketing is probably, for me, still our #1 source of buyer leads. And pay-per-click marketing, for those of you that aren't acquainted with it, it's where you actually pay for placement in Google. So in other words, if you have key search terms that buyers are using in your market area, in my area they might be Eugene, Oregon homes for sale, Eugene, Oregon real estate, Eugene, could be specific neighborhoods, North Gillum real estate, Ferry Street Bridge real estate. So what we do is use a pay-per-click program, and what they do is they go in and bid on those search terms. So we come up in the top 3 in the paid placement ads for those specific search terms. And as you can see on your screen right now, those paid placement ads are the ones that are on the top of any Google search and also run down the right-hand side. You really want to be in the top 3 to be effective. And as you can see here, we're #2 on this search, which was Eugene, Oregon real estate. So what I do is I use the Pro Leads program with RealPro Systems. Back years ago, I used to do this myself, but good grief, it takes way too much time, and you have to be on top of it all the time. And truthfully, I wasn't good at it. RealPro Systems has great people for doing pay-per-click marketing. So all you have to do is contact them and set up a budget with them. You set up a daily spend and a monthly spend. The great thing about pay-per-click is these ads or these leads just come to you. I'm not doing anything. RealPro Systems is driving these leads to me through their pay-per-click program. Now, here's how I would, if you're not already doing pay-per-click, here's what I would do. I would absolutely positively get a pay-per-click program, because it is very, very cost effective no matter what market you're in. Although some markets are more expensive than others, but I would start out with a small budget. Maybe you start out with a budget of around $250 a month and see how you do from that. And then as those leads come in and you start converting those leads and you start doing business, then kick that budget up to $500 a month. Mine right now is running a couple $1,000s a month. And from that, typically will generate anywhere from 150 to 200 buyer leads that automatically just come to me. And our conversion rate on these leads is higher than the normal, what you would think. We're actually running about a 4 to 5% conversion rate on these buyer leads coming in through pay-per-click marketing. So this is a very effective way to get buyer leads. And if you're not doing it, I really, really advise you to get a hold of RealPro Systems and talk to them about getting a Pro Leads or pay-per-click leads program going with them. You won't be sorry you did this. You'll get instant leads the day that you sign up for the program. So also Facebook marketing. Facebook has the ability to do pay-per-click marketing as well. You can go into Facebook and place ads in there. And the great thing about Facebook is that you can go in and you can drill down to the specific types of demographic group that you want to hit. You can dial in on specific areas, income levels, education levels, geographic areas, however small of a group you want to dial down to, you can do that. And these were the people that would be hit with your ad. In other words, when they go onto their Facebook page, those paid ads are running over there on that right-hand side. So you can also, in Facebook, it's easy to go into their admin and set up these ads. In fact, you know, you can do it in an hour. You can set up an ad campaign in Facebook. It's very inexpensive to do this, much less expensive than doing pay-per-click on Google. And you can get a lot of leads from this. You might have to play around with your ads a little bit, but you know, by doing this, you know, you can set up a budget. My budget runs about $200 a month, and from that we'll probably get around 100 buyer, 100 seller leads every single month out of Facebook from that small investment. So it's very worthwhile doing it. And if you haven't already played around with Facebook and determined how to run these ads, I would highly advise you to do that. So also mobile search, and I know I kind of jumped ahead here a little bit, but mobile search is huge. 86% of all internet home searches are now done from a mobile device. And so that's huge. And the reason that it's huge is because a lot of these searches that they're doing from people's websites aren't mobile enabled, and they really don't work great on a mobile device. So with RealPro systems, with their sites being mobile enabled, they come in and they do that search, and it fits, the criteria fits onto their mobile device. It's actually a program that's set for the mobile device. And so we actually use this sign writer that you see on your screen right now on all of our listings, so that especially people driving by, they can go to www.eugene or eughomes.info and go to our mobile site and sign up for a mobile home search. So this is becoming more and more important all the time, that you have the ability to do mobile search, and it's also highly important that you have a site that's mobile enabled, which RealPro system sites are. So, but you can also, if you haven't signed up for the actual mobile app through RealPro systems, that's something that you really you might think about doing. And I know on this call there's a lot of people that have different packages of RealPro systems. Most of them come with the mobile application, but some of them don't. If you don't have it, I would highly advise that you get it, because it's a great way to get leads, especially off of your off signs in front of your listings. So, and also on the mobile app, it has lead capture, which a lot of our leads now are coming in from that mobile site, because they will see the ad, go to the mobile site, sign up, and their home searches come to that mobile site, so they sign up from the mobile app. Okay, so we've talked about buyers, and I know I ran through that pretty quickly, but now I want to talk about sellers. So, because there's two different groups that we can market to, both buyers and sellers. Buyers, of course, as I mentioned, are on the internet looking for properties because they're thinking about buying homes, and they're looking for properties, and they want easy access to properties, and having the ability to get daily updates as new homes hit the market is really hot. Sellers, of course, are also looking at properties, but they're looking for a different reason. Most sellers come in well before they're ready to put a home on the market. And the great thing about this is that if they come into your site before they're ready to put the home on the market, you have this great ability to be able to get your foot in the door first, before this prospective seller has talked to another real estate agent. So, and again, what they're looking for is information on properties that are similar to theirs in similar neighborhoods, similar areas, so that they can get an idea of what their home value is. And by you having the ability, a site that gives them that information, again, you have the ability to get the information you want, which is first name, email address, and hopefully a phone number that allows you to start developing a relationship with that prospective seller, and hopefully be the person that they contact when they're ready to put that home on the market. So for the site for sellers is very simple. It's just a site that they come in, they sign up, they give you the address of their property, and then they give you their first name, email address, and phone number if it's a required field, and they get information on their property's value as a result of that. So there's a lot of different ways that you can drive traffic to those sites. Postcards are really, Again, target marketing to different neighborhoods and so on with postcards is highly effective. And these are just examples of some of the postcards that we send out to different neighborhoods. So one of the things we'll try to do is we'll target neighborhoods. We'll do a search through the title company, and we'll find neighborhoods that might have a high turnover in homes. Neighborhoods that don't have a high turnover probably aren't great ones to target with postcards, but ones that do are very effective in sending postcards to. And again, sending those postcards out one time to the neighborhood probably isn't going to be effective, so you need to have a campaign where you send them out for a long period of time. And especially some of those neighborhoods with high turnover, you might just turn them into kind of a postcard farm that you're sending to repeatedly year after year after year. So different types of postcards that you can send out. Just listed and just sold cards work really, really well. So anytime that we list a property, we'll send out a just listed card, and it'll have the information on that property on the front of the card, and then on the back of the card, here's what we do. We tag on to it with an ad. Want to know your home's approximate current market value? By email, go to forhomesellers.com. So we'll send this postcard out to 200 homes in a radius around that property that we just listed. Okay, and we'll also, again, send out the same postcard when that property is sold, and it'll look like this postcard and says sold on it. So we send out just listed and just sold postcards. Both of them have the same thing on the back of it. Want to know your home's approximate current market value? By email, go to forhomesellers.com. So out of those 200 households that we mail to twice, typically we'll pull anywhere from 15 to 25 market analysis out of those neighborhoods. So very, very high rate of response for sending this out. Because the one thing that holds true, and especially in markets that are similar to the ones that we're all in right now, people want to know what the value of their home is. Most people know that their value has changed significantly over the last couple of years, and they want to know that. And you know, they don't want to pay for an appraisal. They don't want to have to call you, the real estate agent, to come out to their house because they're afraid they're going to get their arm twisted. But if they can go online and get a pretty good idea of their home's value, they're certainly going to jump at that. So these cards work. Okay, here's just another card that we send out. Is your home's value above water? This card worked like crazy when we first started coming out of the recession. As people's values started changing, they all wanted to know what that value was, and so this postcard works. So you can get innovative with these cards and keep trying different cards, because some of them certainly work better than others. Okay, ads also work for sellers. This is an example of an ad that I run in my local newspaper. This is a 2-inch by 3-inch ad. I run it in the Class A section, which is the front page section. I run this ad. I used to run it 4 times a week. Now I'm running it 2 times a week. I run it on I run it on Wednesday, and I run it on Sunday. And from running this ad, we typically get around 25 to a high of 50 CMA requests a week from running this ad twice. So I run this ad over and over and over again. In fact, I've been running it for years, and it works just as well now as when I first started doing it several years ago. So the key to this is, by running it over and over again, you go to your newspaper and you can cut a pretty good deal with them if you sign up a 6-month or even a year contract for running this ad. So, but this ad works. All it says, want to know your home's approximate market value? Log on to forhomesellers.com. It's a very simple ad, but it works. Same thing with business cards. We run this. I put this ad on the back of my business cards, and one of the things that I have 2 different kinds of cards. I have one with a buyer ad on it, one with a seller ad. And if I'm talking to somebody that's thinking about selling their house, I hand them the one with 4 home sellers on it. If I talk to somebody about thinking about buying a home, I put the one with 4 home info on it, my site for buyers. So, okay, so back when we first started doing marketing to sellers, when we got these requests in, we would get these requests in by email, and I would go and I'd pull a CMA on every single one of them. I'd scan the CMA, and we would do it by hand and email it out to the prospect. Okay, as we started getting more and more of these requests coming in, as we started learning how to generate these leads, it became a pretty large chore to sit there and run all these CMAs, to scan them and email them out. And so we looked for a way to automate this. And you can still do it. You can still hand do it. and a lot of agents do that, but also you can do things like sign up for Market Snapshot and use the Market Snapshot form on your seller site. So when they come in to sign up, it automatically generates a CMA on their property. The great thing about Market Snapshot is that they get a complete analysis on their property within just a few minutes of signing up for the market analysis. It has mapping, it has comparables, it has a lot of different informations on the market around their property. And the other thing it does, it sends them out a new market analysis every 30 days. So your market analysis now becomes kind of a drip. And every 30 days you get a brand new market analysis on the property. The reason this works is that if they're not ready to sell their property right now, and maybe it's 6 months down the road or a year down the road, they're getting these new market analysis from you every single month. You're setting yourself up as the market expert for their area, and a pretty good chance that they're going to give you a call when they're ready to put that house on the market. Now, Realtor Systems can set you up with Market Snapshot on your site, or they have SmartZip. SmartZip works really, really well in most neighborhoods around the country, and I actually use both systems. I like both of them. SmartZip does the exact same thing, only it offers them an instant market analysis on their property right online when they come on, but it also sends out an update to them every 30 days as well. So if you want to automate this, get in touch with Realtor Systems, and they can show you how they can automate this whole process with the market analysis. And I'd highly recommend that you do this, because once you automate this, all you got to do is run the ads, and people come in, they get what they want, which is the market analysis automatically. You never have to touch it. So, and also the market analysis they're getting from both Market Snapshot and SmartZip are much better market analysis than the ones that we used to run and scan and email to them. So anyway, the key that I hope you see here, and you can get innovative with your marketing, but the main thing is with Realtor Systems or any type of internet marketing, those leads aren't just going to come to you. You've got to get out there. You got to let people know about those sites. You got to drive traffic to them through business cards, through property flyers, classified ads, magazine ads, stationery. Put it on your stationery, email. You can see I've got a moving truck here that we have. It's just a big rolling billboard for my online presence. Yard signs, company vehicles, any place. Get innovative with this, but any place that you market, you have the chance of people seeing it, going to your website, and you're driving traffic and feeding that funnel. So marketing is highly important, and I hope you got some ideas from some of the things I gave you. So now I want to touch on, and we're just going to take a few minutes on this, because driving traffic to your sites is important, but converting those leads, once you've got them into real business, is highly important as well. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time here talking to you a little bit about lead conversion. So converting leads is highly important. The ways that we convert lead are contacting prospects by phone, drip email, and blast email. And now we even have the ability to contact them by text, and I'll kind of go through that as well, because we find it's a combination of all of these that really leads to our conversion rate. And how much time and how much effort you put into this is going to have a direct reflection on how many of these leads you actually convert into real business. And you got to remember, you're spending money and you're spending time to get these leads, and if they just drop into your database and you're just depending on that drip campaign to convert that lead for you, yeah, you're going to convert a few of them, but you're going to convert way less than if you kind of go through the process of some of the things I'm going to go through right now. So here's some things to think about. I think the most important thing is to get a phone number. You get first name, email address, and a phone number, because phone numbers now are highly important. So we've made the phone number field in all of our sites mandatory. And so we probably don't get as many leads as we did when we didn't have that phone number field mandatory, but the leads that we get, we have a much better chance of converting them if we get a valid phone number. Now, not every phone number we get is valid, but about 70% of them are, which gives us the ability of making contact with that prospect right away. Here's a chart that I put up that shows you your conversion rates in relationship with the amount of time that you get back to them. If you get back to a lead within 5 minutes, you've got as you can see, you've got a really good chance of converting that lead. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you can see how that drops off. 90 minutes, it really drops off. And if it goes to the next day, it drops off even more. Here's one of the reasons why, is because when we first started doing this, we were the only ones out there. And we didn't even call any of the leads, and we were converting a lot of them. Now, a lot of your competitors have these same systems, and truthfully, it's a lot of times whoever gets in touch with them first is going to get the business. You want to be the first one in, and if you can call them quickly when that lead comes in, you've got a really good chance of converting them. So by having that valid phone number, it allows you to make a phone call to that prospect right away. So texting is really important as well, and I'm going to kind of go through this as part of our conversion in a few minutes, but having the ability to text is highly important. But what I want to start on here is kind of two different philosophies or two different thoughts in lead conversion, and then I'm going to jump back into something I started talking about just a few minutes ago, which was timing on this, which is making phone calls and texts and emails. But I want to start out by going through a little bit about the short-term philosophy in lead conversion, and that is when a lead comes into your database, you know, those leads are unqualified, and we don't know if they're ready to buy or sell a house today, or if it's going to be 6 months down the road, or if it's going to be a year down the road when it's going to be. So your drip email campaigns that are attached to those groups, as I mentioned way back in the beginning, are set for helping you convert leads that come in right away. Most of these drips, like I mentioned, only go out just a few months, but they're geared towards picking those people out that are ready to take action right away, ready to buy or sell a house today, or within a few weeks, or even within a month, and converting them into business. So your drip campaigns are set up for conversion on the short term. Okay, so a big, important part of this though is classifying or qualifying that lead. This is where having a valid phone number really comes into play. So when I get a lead with a phone number, it gives me the ability to call that lead and to qualify that lead. So the great thing is with RealPro systems is that when a lead comes in, I can have that lead routed to a mobile device. I can have it come to my mobile device, one of my staff members, one of my buyer's agents, or I can have an ISA, a person that all they do is work on internet leads. It doesn't matter who it is. I have the ability with RealPro systems to send that lead to that mobile device. And this is the way that lead would come in. So if it's a buyer lead that comes in, I've got the lead's name, I've got their email address, I've got some criteria on their home search, and I've also got a phone number. All I've got to do is double tap on that phone number and I've got them on the line. So the idea for calling them is to qualify that lead, and it's a very, very simple call. We're not trying to high pressure them. All I want to do is find out if I got a valid lead, if I got somebody who's ready to buy or sell a house today. So I'm going to give you an example of one script here. I could go into a lot of different scripts. We just don't have time for it today. So I'm going to give you a script that we would use for a buyer that just came in and signed up at my website, and I just got notified on my mobile device. So here's how I would make that call. So I would double click on the phone number. It would ring. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. This is Galand Haas calling with Keller Williams Realty right here in Eugene. I saw that you just came into my home search website. Looks like you signed up looking for homes in the Ferry Street Bridge area. It actually looks like you're looking in the 250 to 300 range. Looks like you'd like 3 bedrooms, maybe 2 baths. Looks like you're looking for maybe an older home, so you're probably looking for something with a larger backyard and so on. I'm just calling to let you know that I saw your search. Wanted to make sure that you were able to get some properties that were interesting to you. I wanted to let you know that you have the ability to sign up for a search that renews itself every day. I'll give you information on new homes as they hit the market. And if you have any questions, all my information comes on every one of those emails that you'll get on properties. So just feel free to contact me if you want information on property or you'd like to go see any of them. And by the way, while I've got you on the phone, I was just wondering, are you actively looking for property right now? So it's just that one simple question. If the answer comes back yes, of course I'm going to dig a little bit deeper and I'm going to try to set up an appointment with them to meet with them right away. If they come back and say, well, we've got a home to sell, we're just kind of starting to think about it. Well, now guess what? Now I got a prospect that's not only a buyer but a potential seller. So I say, well, if you're thinking about selling your home, one of the things they could probably help you out with is, let's see if we could help you out determining your home's value. Would you like to set up an appointment to come out to your house? So we got to kind of get an idea of what your home's value is, and that is probably a good starting point for you to search for houses. So you can see where these calls or where making these calls might lead. Also, if you get somebody that's a first-time buyer, they're actively looking, maybe they haven't seen a lender yet, so you ask them, well, have you seen a lender yet? And if they haven't, then you could maybe help them start on the process of getting pre-qualified for a home purchase. So by making these phone calls, not only can you qualify the lead, but again, if you make them quickly, as I show, is that you have the ability of getting your foot in the door first and making a connection with these buyers and sellers. So having that phone number and calling them and being scripted with that call is highly important. Okay, here's how it all works. Lead comes in, and you categorize them by a buyer or seller. It's also important to keep notes on these prospective people as you call them, because you want to call them back time and time again and check in on them. Here's the other thing that's really important. If you make that call and you don't connect with them, don't give up. Call them at least 5 times on the first day. And then if you don't get them the first day, call them the next day, call them the next day. And also what we do is we send a personal email to them. And they got a drip email, but we also send a personal email to them. If they don't respond to that, then we send them a text. Most of these leads are coming in from mobile devices, so send a text. A lot of people don't respond to an email, they won't respond to a phone call, but they will respond to a text. The key is by email, by phone, by text, making a connection with these people, because once you've made that connection, you have started your process of developing a relationship with them, and once you start conversing with them, that relationship begins, and you've got a good chance of converting that lead and turning it into real business. So don't rely on just the drip email, don't rely on just a phone call. Be persistent, be consistent, and keep calling, keep texting, keep sending emails. Okay, drip email campaigns, we kind of went through that. The biggest thing with drip email campaigns is that in the early days, we blasted them with these drip campaigns. I mean, we hit them hard through the first week. We don't do that anymore. We only send out that first email message, and then the next one doesn't go out for a couple days, and then the next one for a couple more days, and then it drops off to where they're getting them once a week. And here's the reason why. Because we're also calling them, and we're sending them text messages, and you can overstimulate this thing. So be careful on your drip emails that you aren't, if you're doing all this stuff, that you're not hitting them too much. Okay, keep your drip emails short, and always end your drip email message with a reason for them to get back to you, because again, that response back to you is how you begin that process of building that relationship. Okay, drip email campaign strategies, again, it must be a message that's pertinent, must be informational, not too long, offer value with a reason to call, reflect you and your team. Your sites are stealth sites, but once you start sending them emails, make sure you identify yourself, because it's all about branding and setting yourself up as the real estate expert as you start sending information out to them. Know your campaigns, and don't be afraid to go in and modify those campaigns and shorten them up or lessen the number of emails that you're sending out in those drip campaigns if you're also sending texts and personal emails. Okay, now here's the other thing that's really important. We talked in the beginning about long-term conversion. These are prospects that aren't ready to do business within the first 6 months when your drip campaigns end. Email blast gives you the ability to keep in touch with these prospects long-term. In fact, the only way you come out of my database is by unsubscribing or dying. And as long as I got a valid email address, you're going to get emails. So here's what we do. We send out a weekly real estate update. Every Monday morning, I send out an email to everybody in my entire database. I call it my Monday morning coffee. And it's just a short email. It's information on what's taking place within real estate world in the Eugene and Springfield area. I also might include some information on what's some good mortgage programs, what's some changes that are taking place in real estate, some advice. Last week it was I wrote a little article about first-time buyers and what they need to know to get started with the home purchase process. So here's the important thing, is that every Monday morning, and I've done this for about 10 years, I've never missed a Monday morning. Everybody in my database gets an email from me. It's really easy to do through RealPro Systems, because with Email Blast, all you got to do is go in there, write the content, and you identify the groups or your entire database that you want to send that message to. With a click of a mouse, they all get it that fast. We also include in that message Monday morning coffee, which Real Pro Systems also has, which is a link that you can click on and get a new inspirational message that's posted every Monday morning. And also we include our featured property of the week. So we'll take and all you got to do with Real Pro Systems is click on one of your listings, and it'll automatically attach it to that message, and I'll just have a big bold print at the bottom, this week's hot home listing, and boom, they get the message, they get Monday morning coffee, and they get my new listing. Okay, so it's all about keeping in touch with them long term and setting myself up as the real estate expert. And here's the key to it, really, it's just being at the right place at the right time and keeping myself in front of them so they never forget who I am and that I'm the real estate expert of the Eugene and Springfield area. Today my database runs about 15,000. So it takes me about 20 minutes to do this on Monday mornings, and in 15 minutes I hit 20,000 people with my message every single Monday morning. Okay, so it's highly impactful, and I get a tremendous amount of business long term from this. You know, and a lot of people you know, knew who I am as I go around town to the shopping center, the stores, my kids' sporting events and so on. People come up to me and mention to me, hey, I get your email every Monday morning. And I hear that time and time and time again. So I know people are getting them, and I know people are reading them. So it is having an impact. Okay. We also send out our email newsletter. We send this out on the first Wednesday of every month. So everybody in my database gets my email newsletter. This, again, with Real Pro Systems is highly easy to do because you have an email newsletter template. All you got to do is fill in the content. Once you fill in the content, boom, you can hit whoever you want in your database, groups, one group, all the groups, or your entire database with an email newsletter. Okay. So between my email newsletter and my Monday morning real estate update, I hit everybody in my email database 5 times a month. So I'm keeping myself in front of them, setting myself up as the local real estate expert 5 times a month. I guarantee anybody that's in my database and getting those emails knows who I am, and they don't forget that I'm the real estate expert in Eugene and Springfield. Okay, so the main thing with all this is the marketing of it's really pretty easy. You just gotta do it. The lead conversion of it's really easy. You just gotta be consistent and do that as well. And so it's not rocket science. And you don't have to be Einstein to do it. It's really easy. And with Real Pro Systems, you have this great system. It's so powerful. All you got to do is plug into it and take the actions, some of the actions I talked to you about today, and you're going to be highly successful with it, and you're going to make a ton of money off Real Pro Systems. So anyway, I hope the information that I gave you has been helpful. And with that, Celeste, I'm going to go back to you, and we'll see if there's any questions. I think we got a couple minutes left here.
Oh, yes. We have many great questions coming through. So the first one we have here is from Jenny, and she's asking for any agent who is just starting out and doesn't have a website, what is the first step you recommend in setting yourself up for lead generation?
Okay, so here's what I would do. If I'm a brand new agent and I'm really trying to get this thing going, I would get a hold of Real Pro Systems and get myself on Pro Leads, because that's instant leads coming in. And again, don't spend a lot of money when you get started at it. Talk with them; they'll help you set up a budget. But that gives you instant leads and instant people to start callings and start conversing with, and you're going to convert a bunch of those into business.
Great. And then Mark is asking, where do you spend the most of your marketing money, on PPC or social?
I spend most of my money on pay-per-click, and the reason for that is it's just more expensive. We're doing a lot more Facebook marketing than we used to. We're doing multiple posts every single day into our Facebook business page. I didn't have time to really get into that today, but it's highly effective by posting all of those, all of our new listings and properties and so on our Facebook business page, and also doing the pay-per-click through Facebook. We're doing a lot more of that now. In fact, I just hired a person that's working about 2 hours every day. That's all they're doing, and we just started doing that just a few weeks ago.
And then Todd is asking a question in regards to CMA. He's wondering, why do you use both SmartZip and Market Snapshot for CMA responses?
Well, I'm probably a little bit further ahead on this whole thing than a lot of you are, and I have multiple stealth sites for CMAs, and I use some different sites through my pay-per-click and also on Facebook. So I'm experimenting around on which ones work the best, and truthfully, right now they both work very, very well. So I would tell you that in the agents I've talked to in some parts of the country, Smart Zip works better than Market Snapshot, in some areas vice versa. So I would probably start out with Smart Zip with RealPro Systems. It's the least expensive of the two. See how that works for you, and if it's not working, then you've got an alternative to jump into Market Snapshot. So.
All right, and a follow-up question from Todd. This is a good one too. With your running newspaper ads, flyer ads, postcards, etc., for your stealth sites, have your competitors noticed and jumped in on doing the same?
You know, it's really, really interesting. I can't say on the postcards. I have not seen any other agents in my market area that are doing stealth postcards the way I am, and I certainly have never seen another agent jump in and do newspaper ads.
Okay, that's interesting. Usually that follows after you've become really successful. So, and then Rob's asking, how do you get tenant addresses in apartments when you mail out your postcards?
You know, we get from different ways. Title company can help us on some of them, and I've also hired high school kids, believe it or not, to go into an apartment complex and just get different apartment numbers for me, find out how many apartments there are in that complex, and then mail to them that way. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can get it. It's just you just got to talk to the title company, and if they can't get it, then go get it yourself.
Mm-hmm. Then David's asking, with the postcards, do you use a mail house or the postal service with their direct-to-door service?
We're doing it in-house. I actually have a marketing person on my team that produces all the postcards that we mail out, and then we have an intern that comes in and actually does the mailings.
Okay. And actually, Todd has another question. It's a good one. So how big is your team?
Well, right now my team is, we have 3 buyer's agents. I have a full-time marketing person, and then I have a escrow specialist, and then I have a high school kid that is a runner, and then I have an intern that works a couple hours a day.
Perfect. And let's see. So that answers Stacy's question. So Jim's asking, who does your postcards?
We do them all myself. You know, and you know, at some point in time, you know, we may turn this over to somebody else. But you know, here's the thing: is that we're geared up to make these postcards, and we're always experimenting with new cards, and it's just really easy to just do them ourselves. So, so right now that's what we're doing.
Okay. Looks like another one here from Michael. Do you have any measurements on how your company improved lead generation once your site became mobile friendly?
You know, I really don't. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is just the number of leads that actually come in from the mobile site now, that they're growing by leaps and bounds. And then if I look at the statistics that NAR has on how many searches are done for mobile for mobile devices, which is, I believe, was 86% the last time I saw. That's the majority of the searches are out there being taking place on a mobile device. So if you have a non-mobile friendly site, it's just not going to work that well these days. And people are going to come back to your site versus your competitor sites if it's mobile friendly.
Yeah, and that's why those sign writers are fantastic too. So you can get them when they're out and about looking for homes. So let's see who else we have here. Looks like Tom has a question. But Tom, we'll get back to you on that. That's more a client care, so I promise we'll get an answer to you on that one. That looks like about it for the questions. So thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Galand, for taking the time to share all this information on lead generation and conversion. It's been very useful. And for everyone else, you're going to be receiving a recording on Wednesday so you can review everything you've learned today. Thanks again, Galand.
Thank you, Celeste. Thanks for everybody for joining us today, and I wish you all great success.
Yes, take care, everyone.